In Calgary today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canadians can tackle and overcome challenges that the country is facing, such as U.S. steel and aluminum tariffs. Last Sunday, Canada retaliated against the 25% tariff on Canadian steel and 10% on aluminum, with $16.6 billion worth of tariffs on a wide range of U.S. products. And Ottawa will provide up to $2 billion to support steel and aluminum workers. Trudeau told the crowd that Canada has resilient and strong communities to get through this.
Canadians have always been able to step up and face down any challenges, because when we get faced with challenges, what we do when we're at our best is we pull together. And I have to say, over the past couple of weeks, from Canada Day onwards, and I know over the rest of the summer, we're going to continue to see Canadians pulling together, standing strong to support others, like the aluminum workers or the steel workers who are under threat from these U.S. tariffs. We know that we are there for each other in times of trouble.
For more on this, I want to bring in political commentator Michael Geoghegan. He's joining us now. Michael, some very optimistic words there from the Prime Minister. I want to get your take on this trade spat.
Well, certainly there's a lot of people all over the world that are pulling their hair out over the Trump administration's goal, which seems to be to disrupt, the post-World War II order that the United States spent decades creating and leading. So, the United States is entering into trade battles, trade conflicts with not just Canada, but the EU and China. And I think it's going to be a situation where we go from a Western world that's led by the United States to one where the rest of the Western world has to contend with the United States that in some senses has gone rogue, particularly on trade issues. And how do they deal with that?
And what do you see going forward in terms of the trade issues?
Well, obviously, there's countervailing tariffs. Canada is hoping that some of those bite and undermine Trump's support. The EU and China is also hoping for the same. But certainly, it's one where I think for every nation, there's going to be a taking stock of how dependent every nation is in terms of international trade and relations. And the real danger here is that we could signal a return to, the 1920s and the 1930s, where countries were very protectionistic and they put up tariffs. And then when economic situations worsened, they raised them, which of course led directly to the Great Depression. So it's going to be a balancing act where Canada, on the one hand, is going to want to maintain good trading relationships with, for example, the nations of Western Europe, but on the other hand, is certainly not going to roll over or be a pushover when it comes to being bullied by the United States.
Michael, I want to switch now to the issue of refugees, because the Prime Minister promised a strong relationship with Toronto Mayor John Tory. They had a meeting this week because the mayor has been calling for much more help than the federal government has been offering in terms of housing these refugees. How do you see this building crisis playing out?
Well, first of all, it's against a backdrop where, for example, here in British Columbia, we have a domestic housing crisis. We have unemployed, and we even have people that are low income that simply can't find or afford housing. So then you layer in that, a prime minister that has said, hey, we'll take the refugees that the United States doesn't want, et cetera. Canada has to back that up. Ottawa has to back that up with funds for housing and the like, because certainly Canadians who, in certain parts of the country, like here, where we're already under tremendous pressure in terms of affordable housing, certainly going to expect the federal government to put some money behind those, kind and generous words if they mean them.
Michael Geoghegan, political commentator, joining us now. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
You.